What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Russ back here with another video, and today I'll be sharing with y'all my spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Let's get it. Yes sirski. Alright guys, so as y'all can see by the title, it's a spoiler review, so this is your final warning. If y'all get spoiled by watching this movie or just being on social media or anything like that, you cannot blame me because it's spoiler in the title. So yeah, let's go on and get into this spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Guys, oh my gosh, they brought him back. They brought back Toby, Andrew, and brought my boy freaking Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, man. Oh my gosh, I have to get it all out right now, guys. This is a spoiler review. Man, they really brought him back. So all those rumors and leaks, they were pretty accurate. And guys, low-key, when I be seeing stuff on social media about, you know, just Marvel stuff and MCU stuff, like in the past few years, like the stuff I hear, like the rumors and leaks, they end up being true. Like I remember when Shang-Chi and the Eternals were rumored to be coming out. Obviously, those became movies, so it's crazy. We got Toby and Andrew, and then Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, as Matt Murdock, but as Peter's lawyer. So you know what that means, guys. Oh my gosh, bro. I literally love this film. Spider-Man No Way Home was really a love letter to all Spider-Man fans. Tom Holland's Spider-Man, he had real stakes, and he had a really great and developed and grounded story. Well, not grounded, you know what I mean, because there's a lot of multiversal stuff included in this, but it was just a phenomenal movie in all aspects. We saw Tom Holland deal with actual stakes and consequences, just a lot of things. It was very dark, like we saw by the trailers and stuff like that, and how the cast had said before, this was a darker Spider-Man film compared to Far From Home and Homecoming. And man, you just really got to see Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man arc just change, really like do a complete 180, because now, as we saw at the end of the film, no one knows who he is. Peter Parker is basically no one. Like no one knows who he is. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is. Not his real identity being Peter Parker, but everybody knows who Spider-Man is, but no one knows who Peter Parker is. So this is really great and has great implications and great ramifications for the future of the MCU Spider-Man, because guys, man, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Speaking more about Tom Holland's performance in MCU Spider-Man, hey guys, Tom Holland, he absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like really, for me, Tobey Maguire, he's always been my favorite Spider-Man, favorite Peter Parker all around, and I love Andrew as well and love Tom as well. But now, definitely, Toby and Tom, they're tied. Like for me, those are my two favorite live action Spider-Man, and of course, like I said, I love Andrew too. I really love all of them, so if we're just being real. But man, Tom, he really solidified himself in this film. His acting was amazing. And then also we got to see MCU Spider-Man with some intense combat. Those scenes against Green Goblin, oh my gosh, he was hitting some mean hooks, some mean combos and all those things. It was very brutal. We saw that he almost killed Green Goblin at the in the third act, in the final battle scene, but Toby, we saw that he stopped him, so that was a great thing. Toby was basically showing that, you know, Peter Parker, Spider-Man does not kill, and that's the thing about Spider-Man. He does the things for the greater good, and then we end up seeing Tom Holland Spider-Man hit Green Goblin with the anti-serum. And talking about Green Goblin, hey, William Dafoe, oh my gosh, he might be the greatest live-action comic book villain ever. Like William Dafoe, he is Norman Osborn, he is freaking Green Goblin. Every single time that William Dafoe's Green Goblin, Norman Osborn popped up, and when he turned into the Goblin, because you know, it's sometimes hard to tell whether it's the Goblin speaking or whether it's Norman, or it's the Goblin the whole time just acting as Norman. But when you heard the Green Goblin talk, oh my, it was absolutely terrifying. Like, bro, it was crazy. And then when Peter ended up ended up seeing his spider sense go off in Happy Hogan's condo, seeing that Green Goblin was about to turn on everybody and stuff like that, that scene was amazing too. Him and Peter Parker and Green Goblin, they had some intense fighting scenes, not only in the final act, but also then they were going through stairs, fighting and all those things. We got to see Tom Holland Spider-Man, he was jabbing the freak out of William Dafoe, like it was like Daredevil and Charlie Cox's Cox, you know, fighting against somebody. So that was awesome to see that on screen just by Spider-Man, because we haven't seen him really be that brutal. But Green Goblin, man, hey, he always ends up ruining Peter Parker's life, and we saw that because he ended up killing Aunt May, which was very heartbreaking, guys. And I really loved it though, because Aunt May, she was really fleshed out well in this film. It made up for the previous two films, because in Far From Home, we didn't see her really being responsible of Peter being Spider-Man, because you would know that a mother figure or a guardian would be very cautious of someone being a superhero that's under them. But we got to see her character really fleshed out, and she even gave the iconic line that Uncle Ben usually gives. She says, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. So a little rewording, but it's similar to the comics. So Aunt May definitely served as an Uncle Ben figure for Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man, and that was amazing to see on screen. So yeah, Green Goblin, he definitely stood out the most to me. Willem Dafoe's performance was absolutely spectacular. He didn't miss a beat after not playing Green Goblin for 19 years since 2002. Shoot, I was born in 2002, and Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire came out 2 months before I was born, so that's crazy. But just to see him pick off that role and just be super passionate about it. There was an interview recently, just him talking about how he wanted to be involved in stunts and everything. Like, he really cares about the his performance and being Green Goblin and Norman Osborn, so I love that. Also, Alfred Molina back as Doc Ock, that was amazing too to see. Of course, he first popped up on that bridge scene against Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which was also a dope fight sequence as well. And then we also saw him get hit with the serum first. He was the first villain to get hit with that little anti-serum, and that ended up changing him basically to normal Doc Ock, as if like in Sam Raimi's universe, if the project of the tentacles ended up working out perfect and he was still the same person. So that was cool to see. That was very refreshing. Like, he was just a great doctor and scientist, and it was also awesome to see him rekindled with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man at the end of the movie as well. So that was amazing. I love that. We saw Jamie Foxx's Electro. He had some great sequences, great moments, great scenes. He was very funny as well. He had some more swag. We saw that, and his electricity was dope. Also seeing that his face, the lightning came up developing like a little mask like in the comics. And then also Sandman, it was cool to see Thomas Hayden Church back as that. Just seeing him be familiarized with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man at the end. And of course, when he was first introduced, when that little fight scene with Electro and Spider-Man, just seeing that too. And then the Lizard, I think he had the least developed arc, but I mean, he was still all right. I mean, he did look like a dinosaur. He looked a little weird, but I mean, it was still cool just to see all those villains from previous films come back and make an appearance in this film. And it all made sense too. It wasn't rushed. A lot of people said that it was potentially going to be a lot of fan service and a lot of nostalgia, and it was very nostalgic, and it had a lot of fan service, but it was a great nostalgia and great fan service. So it was an amazing film. So that's pretty much covering most of the villains and everything like that, but y'all already know what I want to talk about. Oh my gosh. I want to talk about the Spider-Man, seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. And before I talk about that in depth, I want to show y'all some of these reactions that we got in my movie theater on opening night. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted, but let me show y'all these reactions.
Oh my god!
Here!
Oh my god! Andrew! Oh my god!
No, it's okay, I'm a nice guy.
Oh my god! Oh shit! Toby! Oh my god!
Hello?
Oh my gosh!
Man, guys, it was amazing to see Tobey and Andrew Garfield back, reprising their roles as Spider-Man, both of them being Spider-Man, of course. And this really made me hopeful to see maybe they could pop up in a future project. I mean, I don't know. We know Multiverse of Madness has been having reshoots right now, and there were reportedly cameos and different type of things like that being added to the film. So you never know what that film is gonna have a lot of stuff in the multiverse. I mean, we'll see about that, but I mean, you never know. Sony, of course, they're doing their other stuff with their own Spider-Verse. So I mean, there's potential for them to pop back up. I mean, Andrew Garfield, he had amazing scenes. Him talking about just how he lost Gwen and how he was also able to redeem himself, saving MJ. So that was cool to see. I love that. And he got super emotional the moment it happened. So I love that. Seeing Tobey just talk about his organic webbing, how it's different, how he had a web block in Spider-Man 2 because, he lost his powers for that brief amount of time in the film. And it was just great to see them back, bro. Like, it was awesome. They had some great moments. They were pointing at each other, calling each other Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3. They had that science that science little scene together when they were developing the anti-serum, and just I love it, guys. This was literally, like I said, it's a love letter to Spider-Man fans, and I just love seeing them back in their roles. I was almost pissed for a second because they had stabbed Tobey. I thought they were about to kill him. I would be like, oh my gosh, bro. But thank God that he didn't die from that. They just basically said that Tobey had said that he's been stabbed before, so I thank you, God. So I mean, hey, they could end up popping up potentially somewhere else. I mean, we never know. We never know. I just love seeing them back, guys. And ooh, man. I mean, we heard the rumors and things like that, but it was nothing was ever confirmed leading up to the film. Everyone played coy about everything, but oh man, I love seeing the Spider-Man back in Tobey and Andrew, guys. It was very refreshing and very great to witness. Also, at the beginning, y'all know I mentioned Charlie Cox returning as Peter Parker's lawyer. Who Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock is Daredevil, of course. And Daredevil, he is by far my second favorite Marvel superhero, and just superhero in general. For me, it's Spider-Man #1, of course, always will be, but Daredevil is #2. Charlie Cox's performance as Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the Netflix series in seasons 1 to 3. Man, that's just top comic book content, in my opinion, my favorite show of all time, and definitely favorite comic book and Marvel show of all time. So I'm just excited to see Charlie Cox return as Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the MCU. We saw in Hawkeye, spoiler for Hawkeye if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but hey, Vincent D'Onofrio is back as Kingpin, so they're returning some of those Netflix characters. So I'm excited to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil, guys, in the future. Man, that was amazing to see that, guys. And this film, I mean, it just had so many great elements to it. Like, I literally loved it. For the longest, since 2018 when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse released, that's been my second favorite Spider-Man movie behind Spider-Man 2, which is my favorite comic book movie of all time, and of course, favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. So I've been debating where I wanted to place No Way Home at. It's been debating for me in the top 3s, for sure top 3, like period, like for me. And as you can see right here, I got the DVDs, of course. This is a whole Raimi trilogy, and then this is Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse. And I've been thinking about it. At first, I put No Way Home at 3, but thinking about it some more, I think Spider-Man No Way Home is the second best Spider-Man film of all time. And also, in my opinion, the best MCU film now, to me. I love Civil War. Civil War, for me, has always been my favorite. People love Infinity War and Endgame and all those things, and Captain America, Winter Soldier. But for me, No Way Home is for sure at the top of the list now, after being released this month. So definitely my favorite MCU film is Spider-Man No Way Home, and now it's my second favorite Spider-Man film of all time behind Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi. My bad. So before I close this review out and just give y'all my final thoughts about everything, I wanted to let y'all know that Tom Holland Spider-Man, he really had his justice due in this film. Like, his arc is completely amazing now to me. And it's going to be great to see, like I said earlier, the future for MCU Spider-Man is in great hands. He's very grounded now. No one knows who he is, and he has his own apartment right now. We saw in the film that he has to get a GED. There's no record of Peter Parker. Like, he's gonna have to get everything out of the mud, literally. And that's just gonna be great, because that's who Peter Parker is. He struggles. He is broke. Like, he is not rich. He doesn't have all this Stark Industries tech in the comics and all previous iterations of Spider-Man. So it's refreshing to see that. It's refreshing to see that new suit that Tom Holland made too, that he stitched together at the end. It looked amazing. Like, just classic comic book Spider-Man. Like, I literally love that, man. Oh my gosh. Like, I just can't wait for the college trilogy. It's gonna be cool to see that. Hopefully we see him end up going to, Empire State University. That's how it is in the comics. And in Insomniac's Spider-Man, his Spider-Man low-key is getting similar to Insomniac Spider-Man after this film, but we'll see about that. I want to see Harry Osborn, Gwen introduced, and all those things. So we'll see what happens, guys. But man, MCU Spider-Man is headed into a great direction. Also, guys, I almost forgot to mention this, which is crazy. Of course, we know that there's 2 post-credit scenes. The mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is basically we see Tom Hardy's Venom in a bar in the MCU now, because if you've seen Venom Let There Be Carnage, we saw that the post-credit scene was Tom Hardy's Venom being transported into the MCU, and he's basically in a bar just talking to Venom about all that's going on, and then basically he just ends up going back to the Venomverse after all the other villains from the previous Spider-Man films go back, and we see that a little piece of the symbiote, Spider-Man symbiote, ends up staying in the MCU. So we're gonna see potentially Tom Holland Spider-Man get the symbiote at some point. In my opinion, I low-key hope it's not in the 4th film. I wanted to, drag out a little bit, maybe like in Spider-Man 5, like in the post-credit scene of Spider-Man 4, get ready for that, to him being a symbiote. But I mean, there's a lot to establish right now in his character, because now no one knows who he is because of that spell with Doctor Strange. And speaking of Doctor Strange, hey, that post-credit scene, that trailer basically is a trailer. It's looking nice. Multiverse of Madness looks nice, man. In that post-credit scene, in the little teaser to Doctor Strange to the Multiverse of Madness, we see Dark Doctor Strange, similar to the What If version of Doctor Strange. So we'll see about that. But that Doctor Strange in the post-credit scene just looks purely evil, like. And it looks great. And then we see Wanda, of course. I'm ready to see Wanda back after seeing her in WandaVision. Wanda, she's definitely top 5 for me, my favorite MCU superhero. She's so freaking powerful, guys. I just love Wanda, and I really love WandaVision in my opinion. Some people find it controversial because they wanted Mephisto so bad, but I love WandaVision. So yeah, and then we saw America Chavez, Wong, of course, everybody. So I'm ready for Multiverse of Madness as well. That's been my second most anticipated after No Way Home. So yeah, I really love everything about Spider-Man No Way Home, everything about in the film and the mid-credits scene and post-credits. My rating for the film personally is a 9.5 out of 10. You would probably think it would be 10 out of 10 how I said everything about the movie, but I mean, of course there's some flaws in the film, but for me it's a 9.5. Like, it's It's a chef's kiss to Spider-Man fans, and I literally loved everything about No Way Home. I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss. I can't wait to see No Way Home like freaking 4 to 5 more times in theaters, and then when it comes out on DVD, get that 4K Ultra HD version of it, guys. So, man, I love this film, guys. Y'all stay blessed. Appreciate y'all watching, and take it easy.